What is going on, YouTube? Northeast Ohio Sports Cards here to talk about not sports cards. That's right, comic book video today. Before you run off sports cards, people, though you probably didn't even click on the thumbnail. The comic book market is absolutely insane. I've been saying it for a couple weeks now, and it just keeps going more nuts. Like, you thought sports cards jumped fast, then you ain't seen nothing yet outside of KPJ. Before we get into it, like, comment, subscribe. If you're finding this book from the comic book angle, we talk sports cards, we talk non-sports cards, we talk comics here. Click the subscribe button, come along for the ride. Like, comment, sub, all that jazz. Links to stuff in the description for market movers, Amazon affiliate links, all that stuff. With that being said, let's get into it. So, as many of you know, I have taken the deep dive into the wonderful world of graded comic books, specifically CGC 9.8's as much as possible, and it has been absolutely wild. Prices continue to absolutely escalate like crazy. And I truly believe what I have speculated this entire time is going on. There are new buyers coming into the comic book market left and right now. And there is nowhere near enough supply to handle the increased demand. As we've talked a lot on the channel regarding comic books, the census counts are dramatically too low to handle any increase in supply, and it is not even close. I'm going to beat this dead horse again. Anyone that's followed the channel for the last month has heard me say this at least 5 times, but I'm going to say it again. We'll use Ultimate Fallout 4 this time as an example. Or we could use New Mutants 98, this bad boy right here. These two books are considered high census count books, especially the New Mutants 98. There's about 3,300 of these. This Ultimate Fallout 4, there's about 2,500, which isn't as bad as 3,300. To me, it's all the same. None of it's enough, regardless. And that's all that exists in a CGC 9.8. Yes, comic book people, I know people have pristine copies, bagged, boarded, and sitting in their collections. I don't care. Unless they're slabbed in a CGC 9.8 and they're showing up on the census in the next however long, I don't really care. I feel like most people that were going to grade their New Mutants 98 have already done so in most cases. Sure, will more get added to the census? Probably. Same with Ultimate Fallout 4, and same with anything we're going to talk about on this list. Regardless, I am working with the numbers that we have in front of us at this point in time. And comic book people, I do not live and breathe and eat in your world. I'm coming at this market from a sports card perspective. So if my stuff seems crazy to you, that might be why, but I honestly feel like it's giving me a little bit of an edge right now. So, sorry for that little rant. Anyway, there are 2,400 of this Ultimate Fallout 4, 3,300 of New Mutants 98, and that's it in a CGC 9.8, which for sports card people is the equivalent of a PSA 10. My whole point to this argument was, let's compare basketball. Zion Williamson. There are 15,000 PSA 10 prisms. There is also his silver, his hypers, his purple waves, his this, his that, his this, his that. Oh, and then there's his optic, and then his this and that, and his select, and so on and so forth. If you want a Zion rookie in a PSA 10, you probably legitimately have, I bet you, 50,000 cards to choose from, do you think? Between all the different sets and parallels, and that's a wide range of prices. I get it. But the fact remains, if you want a rookie Zion, you have a plethora of options to choose from. And his prices do quite well for themselves. Now, the sports card market is much bigger than the comic book market. But now, let's flip over to the comic book market. Miles Morales, Ultimate Fallout 4, first appearance, key character into the Spider-Verse. Absolutely probably the future of Marvel when it comes to like the next generation of superheroes. Will probably make his debut in the MCU within the next 3 years, if not sooner. Who knows? And Let's say you want his first appearance comic book in a CGC 9.8. Cool. There are 2,466 of them. Good luck. That's it. It's a first appearance. There are no variants. Well, there are variants, but there are no optics. There's no select. There's no this. There's no that. Yeah, there's second and third printing sometimes, and sometimes those command a premium. But in general, if you want the true blue first print, highest grade, highest common grade, there's 9.9s and 10s, but those basically don't exist. There's 2,500 of them. And if you're telling me that's enough supply, you are crazy. Was it enough supply with the current level of the comic book market? Yes. Is it enough to handle any demand increasing in the comic book market at all? No. And you're seeing it across the board. Go hang out in the comic book pages. People are dumbfounded by what is going on in the Facebook groups. It's simple. New money is coming in. They are chasing key books. Whether you think they're key books or not, doesn't matter. New money thinks it is, and it is driving prices up like crazy. Some people are catching on to this. Others are left dumbfounded thinking that these prices are due to crash any day. Once again, with any collectible market, the plug could get pulled out of this whole kit and caboodle at any point in time. But what I compare this to for the sports card people is last April, May, June, July in the sports card world, when things just went ballistic. I think that exact same thing is happening here with a bunch of new buyers coming in. The difference is the inventory levels are astronomically smaller. So let's look at Ultimate Fallout 4. I have charted this using Market Mover's chart sealed wax feature to chart comic books. Takes a little bit of work, takes about 5 minutes of cleanup, but it's not too bad overall. It gets the job done. And you can see back in December, this was $1,000 comic book. As of this morning, Market Movers ends at 3,500. One actually sold yesterday for $4K. This is now basically a $3,500 to $4,000 comic book. Oh, here it is right here. It's just not factored because it averages out the last day's worth of sales. On the 13th, there was a couple around $3,000, and then one ended at $4,000. And you can see this upward trajectory. So basically over the last 98 days, 88 have sold. So 88 out of 2,500 have sold. And it's up 210%. And just since March, let's see, March 1st, it was 2,700. It's gone up $1,300 in a month. Not even a month, in a week, 15 days, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Sorry, guys, 2 weeks. And you're seeing this across the board on a lot of key books. And what you're really seeing it across the board in is 80s, 90s, and like this one and the next one we're going to talk about, some super modern stuff. I personally, with the exception of probably this book, and I have not bought this yet, and I don't know that I'll be able to now. The price is probably going to preclude me from it. The next one we're going to talk about, I just bought it. I don't have it yet. It shipped out today. I'm recording this Monday night to post Tuesday morning. I've been trying to stay away from the more modern-y things. This came out in 2011, so it's about 10 years old now. And been trying to stick to mostly 80s and 90s. But most of the stuff going up, like New Mutants 98, X-Men 266, first appearance of Gambit, and a bunch of Spider-Man stuff, is all stuff from the 90s. Funnily enough, most people coming into the market right now, that's probably the sweet spot for when they were interested in comic books as a kid. I look at my YouTube algorithm data, and 85% of my audience is 35 to 45. I'm 40. Go back 30 years. I was 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, right around when a lot of these 80s and 90 books were coming out. And what's the first thing I gravitate to? Getting the stuff in the best grade from when I was a kid. I now have disposable income from jobs, from flipping sports cards, etc. And I am beginning to diversify my asset class from sports cards into comic books. The modern markets, like the ultra modern market, which I've been trying to steer clear of as much as possible, unless I just happen to really like a cover and I could get it cheap just as like a PC item, essentially. Personally, I'm not touching anything like ridiculously modern for quote unquote investment grade material. Modern is driven a lot by alternate covers, variant covers, chase covers, all that. It's all artificial scarcity, not actual scarcity. And I'm not messing with any of that. I am sticking with this stuff from the 90s, the 80s, with the one exception of the 2000s being Ultimate Fallout 4 and Edge of the Spider-Verse #2, first appearance of Spider-Gwen. This book has been going crazy. I feel like I got it just in the nick of time. I've wanted one of these forever. I absolutely love Spider-Gwen. I have a bunch of other stuff graded of hers, not investment level stuff, but like cool covers and whatnot. She was my favorite character out of Into the Spider-Verse. And I've wanted this for a while and finally got one this week at what I feel like was the last bastion before this thing went absolutely nuts. Once again, she will probably be heavily prominent in a new Spider-Verse movie. I would not be surprised if at some point in time she comes to the MCU as well, and then look out. Most of the modern market, most of the current market prior to this, where everything's going crazy, was driven by rumors, spec, and hype on stuff coming to the big screen. And it still is. But right now, a lot of things are going crazy because people are chasing. These quantities are so small, and they're looking and seeing, oh no, this might be my last chance. I need to grab this now. And people are scrambling to grab CGC 9.8's in anything remotely considered a key book. This is another one. There's about 2,500 of these, 2,450 for the exact number. I got mine for a little over $1,100. I got it off eBay. And I've been chasing one for a week and could not find one. They would get posted on eBay for a little more, about a $400 jump on current comps. Current comps were around $1,000. And they would sit and some would sell for $1,250, $1,350. And I could see because it had sat at $1,000 for a decent period of time. And I could kind of tell as Ultimate Fallout 4 kept getting higher, my next guess was, well, if Miles Morales is going up, Spider-Gwen's going to be soon to follow for the same reasons. It's kind of like a PSA 10 dragging up a PSA 9. In my opinion. So I've been trying to put a move in on this book. Finally found one on Facebook. Jumped on it as soon as I saw it. And needless to say, glad that I did, because here's the last couple sales on it. $1,400 on Sunday, $1,500 on Monday. And you can see intermixed here. Here's one for $975. I must have missed that one, or I didn't think that they'd accept the offer. $1,350, $1,250, $1,350, $950, $1,000. This was a week ago. $1,170. This is when I started looking for one, when it got a little up over $1,000, and then it moved quick. It's up to $1,500. I honestly think this will probably be $2,000 by the end of the week. I would not be surprised. I should preface this. I kind of mentioned this earlier. I am coming at this from a sports card angle. If you're going to jump into the comic book market, do your homework. Go look at some of the comic book YouTube channels out there. Jump in their Facebook groups. Even though I think they're looking at the market from their internal mindset and not from an external mindset, you still need to learn their rules, if that makes sense. For example, like the different CGC grades, the different label colors, first prints, second prints, third prints, all that. And as I always talk about on the channel, educate yourself before you spend your money. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anyone on YouTube, Facebook, IG, whatever, before you spend your money. Do your homework. That's why I always present the data. You can interpret the data, do your own research, and then you may agree with me or you may not agree with me. And in this case, yes, I am getting out of my lane a little bit because I have not lived and breathed the comic book market like I have sports cards, but I have been following it for about a year plus now, and I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I feel like I have a pretty good grasp of it. And I feel like for the sports cards people watching, we have an edge because we have seen this happen before in our very own marketplace, and we know how to react, and we understand how pop counts, aka census reports in the comic book world, can dictate markets, prices, scarcity, all that stuff, and what happens when a bunch of new money flows in. So with all that being said, back on topic. Anyway, I think Edge of the Spider-Verse #2 is potentially a next one to go absolutely crazy. There's 2,400 of these. She's an extremely popular character, and I can see prices continuing to rise on this one. So far, I think I'm probably going to miss out on one. I had a list of stuff I wanted to get, and I've been slowly ticking the things off. I've been buying one about every week or two, and knocking things off the list. I have a feeling a couple are going to outpace me before I can get to them, but I've been lucky. I bought the next one we're going to talk about, New Mutants 98. I got it for $1,200 probably 3 weeks ago. When did I get mine? Once again, chart from Market Movers. I got mine mid-February. It was right around Valentine's Day, right around here-ish. Once again, off Facebook or off eBay on Facebook. I think I bought mine right here-ish because the comps were around that price. And I got it for $1,200 shipped, goods and services. And since the 6th, it went from $1,200 to $3,000. And one is actually sold for $3,500. But it looks like it dipped back down again. Another one sold today for $3,000. So it seems like it went up to $3,500 and then has pulled back to $3,000 for at least the time being. And once again, when I'm quoting prices on everything we've talked about so far today, I'm talking about direct editions, not newsstands, not signature series, not price variants, all that jazz. Just straight direct edition issues, nothing fancy, nothing crazy. Once again, do your homework if you want to dive into newsstand stuff and that whole angle on it. Newsstands are a lot rarer in most cases and command an extra price, but they're not tracked on the census, so it gets a little weird. But once again, go do your homework on that stuff. So New Mutants 98 is another one, first appearance of Deadpool, that has gone absolutely ballistic. And we're still at least a year or two away from him showing up in a movie. We are also, there's rumors that he is going to be the new Stan Lee and essentially pop into every movie for like 30 seconds in the background. If that's the case, this book still has room to go up. And I know that sounds crazy, in my opinion. Once again, there are only 3,300 of these, and in the comic book world, that blows their mind that there's 3,300 of these going, and the prices are going this nuts on it. We've talked about New Mutants 98 a lot. Let's move on to the next one. This is another one that I picked up, and this was another one I got in just in the nick of time. Secret Wars #8. It's the story behind how Spider-Man got the black suit. I got mine for $600. They are now up, floating around $800. I got mine about here-ish. I think right here, right between here and here. I got mine for $580. Buy it now, right in here. And then they went right up right after I got it to around $800. Now, yes, back here in December, they were $400. So it's not like I got in at the cheapest. And if you go even further back than that, they were even cheaper. But like I said, basically since the first of the year, mid-February, mid-January, the comic book market's just been going absolutely nuts. So this one's already up a couple $100 for me. And then I paired it with this Amazing Spider-Man 252, which is the actual first appearance of the symbiote suit. And then a couple months later, this came out that told the story of how he got it. I got this, and this one, this is a perfect example. I got this for $1,500. This was one that I was chasing. It took me a while to find it. This one's from 1984. There are only 1,200 on the census, I think. And that is nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, this isn't like a key first appearance, like the first appearance of Venom, but this is the thing that eventually turns into Venom. And I'm willing, one, I just think it's a cool cover, and I think it's a good 2 books to pair together. This one with this one as display pieces and to hold on to as not ultra high-end investment level books like an ASM 300 or anything older, like the true grails, you know, like X-Men 1, Hulk 181, Giant Size X-Men, X-Men 4, a bunch of different Iron Man and Avengers books, Fantastic Four stuff, like super, super old, where you could get in at lower grades, and it's still extremely valuable. But there's only 1,200 of these things. And you could not tell me at some point in time in the MCU, if Tom Holland keeps making Spider-Man movies, that they're not going to put the symbiote suit on him at some point in time. And if that happens, oh boy. And to me, that is icing on the cake, the movie stuff. I'm approaching this market as targeting things that aren't 100% reliable or not relying on the movie market dictating how crazy the comic books go. New Mutants 98's pumped a little bit by that, but that movie's already happened, and Deadpool's just going to be an extremely popular character no matter what. And I think that has legs. Same with, I missed out on Ultimate Fallout 4. I probably won't be able to get one now, but that book's at 4K now. If they announce casting and a Miles Morales movie, it's going to jump again. It just will. But yeah, jumped into this one, 252 for 1,500. It spiked up to 2,200. It has come back down to about 1,800 to 2,000, kind of give or take. Prices have been fluctuating on this one a little bit. I got mine about right here-ish, mid-February, late February, right around Valentine's Day. Again, this was the second one that I bought after getting Secret Wars. I got this a couple days after I got Secret Wars 8. Once again, off eBay. Bought this on Facebook. I've been getting the best deals in the Facebook groups. And it's comparable to like current eBay comps, but with like the standard 10 to 15% off, whatever the eBay comps are. So I've been able to save a little bit on that end as well, which is nice. Anytime you could do that to avoid one, getting a little bit of a cheaper price while still helping out the buyer to get their fair market value, and also, eliminating tax on my end. So we could kind of meet in the middle there. We both get a little bit more. I get it a little bit cheaper than I would have for buying it on eBay, and they get a little bit more from it than what they would have for selling it on eBay. There's a happy middle ground there that all buyers and sellers should meet in. But a lot of people don't like to do that for whatever reason. So yeah, and I could have picked out any number of other books to show on this. They're all going nuts. ASM 361, X-Men 266, ASM 316, ASM 300, a bunch of X-Men stuff, X-Men 266, 282, first appearance of Bishop, first appearance of Omega Red, X-Men 4. Those are some lower price point stuff, but they're starting to tick up as well, along with a bunch of other stuff. And it's been a blast. It's fun chasing this stuff. Like I said, the census counts on these things are so low, it's actually challenging in some points. I'm going to wait to reveal it. It's not going to change anything. You can't find one anyways. Or if you will, you'll be extremely lucky to. I have an X-Men book coming that I am extremely excited about. It should be here tomorrow. I'll wait to do like an unboxing with that and Edge of the Spider-Verse 2 when it shows up. But there's an X-Men book that I've been looking for a couple months. I finally found one. They posted it at like current comps from the last one that sold, but the last one that sold was a month ago. And there's only 240 of them on the CGC census. It's not a first appearance, but it's a key story and a key cover during a key run. Those are your hints. And it's late 70s, early 80s. I forget the exact year on it. But yeah, CGC 9.8. There's 240 of them. I was absolutely stunned at the price given what other stuff's going for. So yeah, that's kind of like a little bit of a comic book market update. My thoughts on what's going on over there, kind of a little amalgamation of the two. I would highly recommend, if you're just in the sports card market, allocate some of your budget and diversify a little bit. It doesn't really hurt anything. Plus it's fun learning a new market. And there's things, like I said, I'm taking my knowledge from the sports card market, and I believe, we'll see. I'm putting my money where my mouth is buying this stuff. It's not like I'm just giving the advice. We'll see where things go, but I do feel like my experience from the sports card world is really paying off on the comic book world. And there's probably things that you'll be able to learn from delving into that market that you can apply back to the sports card market. One of the things that's come out of that for me is changing the way I think about pop counts in the PSA report, especially when it comes to, like, I did that video on Select not that long ago. really looking at the low pop count cards on players that I truly, truly, truly believe in for the long term. So I'm not talking about like your Keldon Johnsons or your PJ Washingtons or even your KPJs or whatever. I'm talking about like your Lukas, your Tatum, your Ja, your Mitchell, your Giannis, established modern stars that maybe haven't won an NBA championship yet, but like as soon as LeBron and some of the new guard clears or the old guard clears out of the way, are going to be the next generation stars. I really want to start moving money into their low pop count stuff, like optic color, select base, select color, and some other stuff, because playing in the comic book side now has taught me exactly how small some of these numbers are. And when demand increases just a little bit, how crazy their prices will go. Because you could see it now. People are afraid that if they do not get Edge of the Spider-Verse 2 right now, they're going to miss out. And they're not going to be able to buy it because the prices is going to keep going up. And I mentioned this in the last, maybe it was a live stream, I don't know, but I've mentioned this before. Comic book collectors are different than sports card collectors. Sports card collectors, in general, view sports cards as an asset, and other than a couple extreme circumstances, we're vicious. We're ruthless. We'll flip it in a second to move into something bigger, better, and badder. And the comic book market is much more long-term collectors. People want these as display pieces. They want to put runs together. They want to put groups together. They want to put them out. They want to put them in their office. They want to hang them on the wall like photos in UV protected frames. All this stuff. A lot of this stuff, when it comes off the market, there's like a certain percentage of CGC 9.8's that are just never going to come back onto the market. They're going to be with whoever bought them until the day they get put into the ground, and they might go in the ground with them. So there's also that to factor in. Like the real census number is probably a lot lower. Not a lot. Maybe it's 10%, but whatever. When you're talking about 2,000, 10% is a decent chunk of change. That's 200 books. So there's also some of that going on as well. But needless to say, I am having an absolute blast on the comic book side. It has been a ton of fun, and I'm not going out buying raw to send in to get graded or anything like that. I set out with a very specific purpose in mind. Key books from the 80s and 90s in CGC 9.8, and then work my way backwards to the bigger stuff. Would I like a giant size X-Men #1? You're goddamn right I would. Would I like a Hulk 181? You're goddamn right I would. Would I like some ultra old, super rare, early X-Men stuff? Absolutely. Will I get there one day? We'll see. But I'm going to have fun trying to chase that dragon. So that's all I got for you guys today. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.